Are you ready to make the leap into the cybersecurity field? Are you currently on the help desk or some other tech job in the field and don't know how to transition into cybersecurity? Well, today we have a cybersecurity engineer, researcher, and threat informer. Welcome to the show, Micah. Do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got your start in the field?
Yeah, thanks, Dakota. I'm glad to be on. So I work for a cybersecurity consulting company in Huntsville, Alabama. A small company, about 40, 50 people. I've been there for about 3 years, and I work as a kind of a data/SIM engineer. So kind of working with security data, logs, stuff like that, making sure it gets where it needs to be, and then that the data itself can be used for effective purposes and things like that. I kind of got started in cyber. I actually first went to school for a computer science degree, and then after about my first semester, I realized I didn't want to do software engineering. And so I was like, well, what could I kind of switch to, knowing I like technology, I like computers, but I just don't want to I don't want to write code every day. So cyber was kind of the next route that I looked at, path that I decided to go down. And so got my bachelor's in cybersecurity. I graduated in 2020, right in the middle of COVID. So just the worst time to get a job. So I just basically first, as everyone does, I just spammed out applications, seeing what would happen. Like most people too, that doesn't work very well, especially without experience. So I kind of targeted areas that I would like to move to. And then I started looking at a lot of companies, a lot of places in those areas. And I got pretty lucky, but Huntsville was one of the places I was looking at, somewhere that was big into STEM, but wasn't like a really big city. I come from a small town, so I didn't really want to go to, DC, Atlanta, something like that. So Huntsville was an area that I was looking at, and I kind of just started reaching out to companies. And H2L, it was awesome, but kind of unique. But since they're a small company, they didn't have a big form, a big application, or thing to fill out. It's just like, hey, send an email to this address. We'll reach out to you if we are interested or something like that. So I emailed them, and probably like 2 or 3 weeks later, got a response that, hey, are you still looking for a job and stuff like that? And I was like, oh, absolutely. So I had like an interview, then I got an offer, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. I don't know if this is real. Like, cause other places you apply, you have like 5 pages of stuff you're filling out. You never hear back. It takes months. So this was honestly it was a blessing, but it was kind of a lucky situation too. But just being able to really reach out to the people themselves, and that they had a need for people or someone as well. And I was able to kind of fit that need. You
kind of get that feeling when you first start at a company that you're in the right place. You know what I mean? It sounds like you really had that kind of scenario where, once you got offered the job and started there, it's kind of magical almost, right?
Yeah, it was a whirlwind. With any small company, it's great because you get your hands on with a lot of stuff. But obviously, there's also drawbacks. A few people change or a few people leave or something, and it feels like the worst thing ever. But it's just a great opportunity to learn more. I've been able to, do a lot more than I should have been able to do in 3 years. Just being out like that, being able to, touch on cloud, touch on consulting, touch on even threat hunting, stuff like that. So it's been really fun. Definitely have enjoyed it, and definitely been able to kind of move laterally and been in a position where the company likes to support their employees and what their interests are. So they've been able to, if I have an interest, they're like, hey, go for that. And if we can find a role for you there or find something in that, then we'll kind of move you that way. So it's been phenomenal for me so far.
That's so cool. So kind of going back to when you were talking about you just got into the field and stuff, you said you're like kind of throwing out applications left and right. And a lot of times I say like the spray and pray method, you just kind of just spray all your applications and resume out everywhere.
Yeah.
You want to dive into like why that doesn't work a little bit more for people that don't know?
Cybersecurity is hard because we all hear of how much need there is for people. We're like, oh, everyone needs somebody. And then we see all these postings. We're like, wow, there's so many postings out here. Really, the issue is that all these postings are for more senior positions because there is a lot that goes into cyber and a lot of fundamental stuff that you need to know, but you probably don't know, especially younger, especially just out of school, things like that. The hard part is finding out first, like actually, realistic roles to apply for. Nobody really tells you, this is what you should be applying for, or this is what you need to look at. And a lot of the roles, they'll say entry level, and then they'll also say, 5 years of experience or 3 years of experience. Like, okay, this is confusing now. I'd say a lot of the reasons spray and pray doesn't work is A, you're not applying to the right roles. B, you often, the cyber community, it seems big, but it's really not. And people know people, and they know, places you worked at, things like that. So if you don't have that any experience, there's really no good way to kind of know what your skill level is, what your personality is, things like that. And because there is no, background, people are less likely to take a chance on someone, especially if it's a role that is important, is critical, which usually most security roles are. And then lastly, it's just like, there's a lot of, it depends on the person too, I guess I'd say, because like, are you willing to move locations? Now obviously there's a lot of remote.
It's location.
But also it's harder to get remote, especially entry level positions, because it's harder to train people remote. So there's just a lot of stuff that kind of goes into it.
Yeah.
And depending where you're looking, like I was lucky that I was, willing to move to where I needed to go. But some people aren't that lucky or aren't able to in those situations. There might not be as many opportunities that aren't remote, but the remote jobs are getting, 4,000 or 5,000 people applying for them. So that's just a taste of why it's so difficult right now.
And, you mentioned something that I absolutely hate, but is 100% true. A lot of times in the field, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And when you're just starting out, you don't necessarily have all those connections to like, that's why I think networking with people in the cybersecurity field is so important. Do you have any recommendations on how, like, if you're just starting out and don't necessarily have those connections, how do you build those easily?
One thing I know, and I've seen case after case, again, it's just that people in cyber are willing to help. So, reach out to people, talk to people. They are, like, we've all been there. They are more than willing to help or put you in touch with someone. We all probably know people that are hiring. Often, like I said, they are probably more senior roles, but there's always things that's going on, things like that. So just being able to reach out to people, for me, the easiest way was through LinkedIn, because it was during COVID, so couldn't go to meetups, couldn't really do a whole lot of that. And in my area, it was just a small town. There wasn't really locals. So I had to kind of expand my horizons, I guess, opportunities for trying to find people. But I've really enjoyed LinkedIn. I think it's a great way you can, talk to experts and people that you would never get to talk to before. Just being able to go through, find like one person that is pretty active or like use their LinkedIn a lot, and then probably just go through their connections, and you'll probably find a whole bunch of people that are just like them. You filter by area, location, company, stuff like that. But anything that you can do to try to just talk with people, because you just don't know what you don't know. So you'll learn, even just working a few years, you learn so much that you had no idea about before getting into cyber. So for me, that was a great way. There's always, local meetups, conferences, things like that, which is another way to do it. But I think LinkedIn is at least one way I found that it's really is a good way to try to connect and try to actually, meet people and being able to be more helpful than just, hey, looking for a job, but like looking for a job in this realm because of this, or putting out your experiences or things like that. That's kind of what really piques people's interests, I think, the most.
I don't work in cybersecurity. I work in networking, but I deal with enough cybersecurity in my job. But I think it's kind of the same in the tech field. You find everyone's so friendly for the most part, so willing to help. Yeah, we have those few gatekeepers out there that really just like, oh, I don't want to share my secrets with you, or you're going to take my job. First of all, that's not the case. And second, those are so far and few. I just think everyone is just been so great to work with. We recognize that everyone's been there. Everyone started from zero and worked their way up. So we kind of have I think we all have a soft spot for people looking to start out and looking for some advice and stuff like that. So
yeah, absolutely.
If you had to do it all over again, what would you recommend? Would you recommend going to school and jumping right into cybersecurity, or trying to get into like an entry level IT job and then pivot into cybersecurity?
The best route, in my opinion, and I'll say how I did too, which is kind of unique, I guess, maybe, but the best route, in my opinion, is you can't really do cyber well without having a networking and operating system and just a little bit of programming background. You don't need to be a programmer, but just kind of know what code is, how it works, things like that. Because if you don't know, how systems network, you don't know how an operating system really works, where the attack vectors are, where things like that are, you don't really have a good shot at securing it. Maybe you could get a job in certain sides of cyber, but depending what you want to do, there is like a need for a kind of tier level of knowledge, and like there's some stuff that you can't really just skip over. So definitely, I think the IT route is a very good route. And actually, the way I did it in my first year of college, I did a work study program with our help desk basically at the school, and I mean it was mostly just helping students figure out why the Wi-Fi wasn't working, or like figure out okay, you have no storage left, your system, like your 15-year-old laptop is not going to work for you. Sorry, just easy problems, but just gives you initial kind of, this is what it looks like, customer service. This is what tickets, stuff like that. This is kind of what it looks like. Just a lot of stuff that if you grew up doing or just having technology, a computer, phone, you might be able to handle, but a lot of people, they don't. They have no clue what's happening. They have no clue what a network is. They don't know, they don't know anything. So that I kind of did, I guess, start out in IT, not really like a full-time position, but I did start, I said like for 1 year I was in the college help desk. And then I did have 2 different internships that were mostly like support type roles.
So you got that experience. You got that initial experience. I'm always saying you can't protect a network if you don't know how it works.
I would 100% agree with that. I did go to college, but I also didn't pay, $50,000 a year out of pocket to go to college and then be in debt. So it's hard for me to recommend the college route in those situations to people, just because you will never learn enough to start day one in college. A lot of it will require as well, self-learning and other things like that. And so that's kind of the tricky that cyber, I don't know if maybe IT has, what cyber hasn't been able to define is, how do we career progression? How do we even get people in? It looks like, at least it feels like there's a beginning of people no longer, caring about degrees or requiring degrees, which is good sometimes, but other times it's not as good. So that's where it's hard to kind of tell, this is the route you need to go, because it's going to be different for so many people. But I'd say I never can recommend, go to college, pay all this money to be in debt, $100,000, $200,000, and try to get a job thinking you'll be fine, because that's not a good way to go.
College isn't for everyone. Right out of high school, I went to college for about a year, and just it wasn't for me. And I like out of high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Actually, I thought I wanted to get into climatology and the study of weather and stuff like that. And then I just got basic jobs to put food on the table, and then before I got into IT, like we were talking before the show, I was a bulldozer operator, and I was making decent money. I was making like almost $80,000 a year just sitting on my butt for 12 hours a day driving a bulldozer forward and backwards. To many people, that sounds like a dream job, but it was torture for me because it wasn't mentally stimulating enough. I had to make the change. So I started watching YouTube videos and, realized, hey, I can go study for some certifications and start applying for jobs. And before I even got my first certification, I got offered a job as a IT support specialist doing basic help desk. And, the rest is history from there. So college isn't the route for everyone. Is there someone, like a certain type of person you would recommend to go to college, or is it just like not at all?
I think it depends what you want, I guess, out of college. So I had a good college experience, actually. Yeah. So I've done a master's and a bachelor's now. But the master's was just because I wanted to go to WGU to see what that was like, because it's very different than other colleges and universities. So I'll talk about that a little bit here. But my bachelor's, like, I really liked, I don't want to say the coursework, but I really liked the time at college. Like, I liked being in intramural sports. I liked, having friends. I liked that part of college. So it depends to, the age. Are you just in high school going to college? Or are you, at home with the family going to college? Very different type of things there. I would say if you want to go to college and you want to like work with some top, professors, top people, research, things like that, like go to a big state school. Like you're going to have, the best opportunity. Like I think of Georgia Tech or, Virginia Tech, things like that, like big schools that are known for their, engineering. If that's like what you want, where you want to, be in the research field, you want to know a lot of people, you want to know a lot of, other students that are going to go on and do cool stuff. That's a great way to do it. Because if you're in state, it's a little cheaper. And you're going to have access to just the top minds and the top resources, things like that. I did not do that. I went to a school, still a good school, but it was actually a Christian school out of Virginia Beach area. And the one nice thing that was there was I was able to be involved like with a lot on campus. So I was able to be involved with, like I said, intramural sports, with our cyber club that we had, among other stuff as well. So I really liked the overall experience.
Yeah.
As a degree, it gave me what I would consider basically Security Plus from CompTIA, that certification. It gave me that knowledge my whole 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Give what you will on that, but like it felt like everything was mostly high. I don't want to say high level, but like, you had a risk management class, you had a network security class, you had a one programming class, things like that. Like you got a little taste of everything, which was kind of nice because some degrees will be, depending, if it's under the CS, school, it'll just be like mostly software engineering. If it's under the engineering school, who knows what it's going to be. If it's under the IT school, maybe it'll be more of a business IT cyber degree type of thing.
Yeah.
My degree was just cybersecurity. Like it was kind of by itself. It was just a mix of everything. Kind of nice because I got to get the taste of different parts of cyber. But less nice than that, you did not feel like you knew what was, like when you were looking for a job, you're like, now what do I do? Like, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I don't know enough to go do this for a job now.
Right.
And then I feel like too also that everyone's gonna feel that way. Like I think you're never gonna feel prepared, but even your whole career you won't be, because you're always gonna have to learn more. So it's not like that you need to
that imposter syndrome.
Yeah, you don't need to shy away from that, because I think most people will probably feel that way, especially working for the first time. You have no clue. I didn't know what SharePoint was. I didn't know what all this stuff was that my company uses.
Yeah.
Things like that. So you're gonna have that. So yeah, if you're very studious, you want to be in the top minds, like go to state school. If you want to do it cheap and quick, like I said, I did my master's at Western Governors University. I would definitely recommend that place because they have a big alumni base. They have the name, and they have it's self-paced. I'd had a few certs to kind of cancel out classes, but I did 6 classes in one semester. So I got my master's in one semester. So It's nice that you get the material you need to do what you need to do. It doesn't feel like you have busy work, which I just hate busy work. I hate, the things that like, this isn't going to help me in my job. This is.
Yeah.
So I can recommend that place. I mean, they don't have a lot of degrees, but they have IT, cyber, I think education, and healthcare. Maybe those are the 4 that Western Governors University does. But now what WGU is also just online. So, if you want a big in person, you want to be, close with classmates, stuff like that, maybe not the best route for you.
Yeah.
If you just are trying to figure out how to learn to get a job, then you're probably going to agree with me here, but I mean, the internet, like you can do it. Like it's so much on the internet. Maybe just a little direction.
Tons of resources.
Talk with somebody, watch videos. There's a little direction. You can learn it all. I learned more off of the internet, I think, than I would have just at work and or in college. I mean, there's no way you'd have access to the topics or the ideas or the people that put stuff out there. You never have that.
Hey, we'll get right back into today's episode here in a second, but I want to talk about something really quick. You see, running a small business is no small feat, and cybersecurity should be the least of your worries. That's why I'm excited to introduce to you GravityZone, Small Business Security by Bitdefender. You see, Bitdefender is a global leader in cybersecurity, protecting millions of consumers, enterprises, and government environments. And now they've packed their enterprise-level security into a solution tailored specifically for small businesses. With GravityZone Small Business Security, you'll get unmatched protection against phishing, ransomware, and even sophisticated fileless attacks. It's all about stopping the bad guys before they even get in. One of the best parts, it's designed to be straightforward to install and manage. So even if you're an IT expert, you can save valuable time and focus on other crucial tasks. Plus, it is really easily scalable. As your business grows, GravityZone grows with you, allowing you to add extra features and endpoints as you need. So don't wait until it's too late. Protect your business today with Bitdefender GravityZone Small Business Security. Visit the link down in the show notes to learn more. Remember, security isn't just for the big guys. It's for every business, big or small. Okay, now back to the conversation. No, I 100% agree with that. I've used a couple of online e-learning platforms, but to be honest with you, majority of the stuff I learn is YouTube or Google. Even further along in my career in a higher level position, I find myself, trying to figure out how something works on a weekly basis. And I think that's part of the imposter syndrome that people think like, oh, I'm not good enough or I don't know enough for this job. It is perfectly acceptable not to know it all. The key thing is to know how to find the information. And that's what people, I don't think, realize. There's a lot of times I hear people that don't want to go the college route. They go like IT certifications. So like, I'm going to get the A plus, Net plus, Security plus, this, and this. And then I'm going to apply for my very first job. And I'm like, no, you don't actually need any of those certifications to be able to land your first job. They'll definitely help, but on the same hand, okay, start studying for those certifications, but also at the exact same time, start applying for jobs, because that experience is really what's going to help carry you, further in your career.
I like a challenge, and I like motivating myself. So I enjoy certifications, but I know some people, they hate tests. It's not for them.
Sarge, your catchphrase is Terry hates tests.
It's true. Terry hates tests.
So those two, they can help you. It's not, just like a degree, it's not really an end all be all. Not trying to gatekeep or anything, but I think the best workers in IT and cyber are the self-motivated people that try to learn by themselves.
Absolutely.
It's kind of just a field that you can't learn from other people very well. Even it's kind of stereotypical, but like a CS or a cyber professor, you think of people that aren't very good at teaching. They're really smart, they know the stuff, but they're not so good at, telling you how to learn the stuff. The people I've worked with it's always been the people that are doing stuff at home in a home lab, or the people that are, whatever that they have put upon themselves to learn, and not having to rely on a boot camp or a college degree or something else. But they go out and they find the information, they learn how to do it. That's the best way to set yourself apart and to really, improve your career pretty quickly, in my opinion.
Earlier, we were talking about it. It is definitely much easier if you start in an IT tech job and then transition into cybersecurity. What is something that that you think people can do that are looking to make the switch that they can do today to be able to pivot to help them on their journey? What is one thing everyone should go out and do?
To pivot into cyber from IT?
Yes.
The first thing is to try to identify which part of cyber you want to get into. We spoke about this a little bit before, but just the idea that cybersecurity is so large. It seems like it's a niche field, but it's not. So you say, oh, I do cyber. To somebody, that is, you're a hacker. To other people, that is just a good password. And then some people, it's oh, is that privacy? You care about my data and stuff like that. It's just so different to so many people. So you want to kind of figure out the route you want to go. And that's not easy, especially when you don't know the possibilities. So a great first path is just kind of, research options. Look into, you have, in my opinion, the routes to really go. You have a blue team defender role, a red team role, which usually red team is more advanced. People that switch over to red team or something like that. A lot of people they think it's cool to be a hacker, and that's what they want to do, but those are not very often for entry level people. And then, you have GRC as well. So risk management, governance, compliance, things like that. Those are your big routes. You can get specific application security, or you can get into other niches, but they kind of weave through one of the two or the three anyways. So in my opinion, you want to figure out where you want to go or where you might and then kind of focus there. Because otherwise you're going to have an information overload where there's just so much to learn that you're never going to do it. And then you're going to put it down and stop.
Makes sense.
So figure out where you want to go. Practical, I think I use it a lot, but Try Hack Me, a website, it's a great place. I mean, they have learning paths, stock analyst 1, whatever. You do that path, you're going to learn a lot of information there. Very practical. I remember the first time I learned that you could specify ports in your URL, put colon the port number. I was whoa, this is cool. I never even knew how to do that before when I was, 16, 17, whatever, stuff like that. So that's a practical way where
yeah.
I mean, there's so much on there that it's you basically is having your own home lab, because you can spin up anything. You can spin up a Splunk. If you want to learn Splunk, you can spin up, they'll have VMs for you. You just click start and then you have Splunk right there in front of you. You want to learn the networking fundamentals. I mean, it's more than just cyber, I guess, which is what I kind of like about Try Hack Me, is that it can be, software specific. It could be a position specific. It could be really whatever you want. The options are there. And so I think personally, I thought that was a great route. Better than even college labs, all those, they always feel outdated, 4 years old, the textbook, and they don't work well. Nothing's ever, they tell you how to do it. It's never how they tell you how to do it. But like Try Hack Me is one that, it works. It's something that's usually up to date. You can learn cloud, AWS. There's so much on there that you can learn.
Yeah, no, Try Hack Me, Hack the Box, because there's tons of them out there. Those are really fun. The gamified learning is just, everyone learns differently. Some people are book readers. Some people are, you have to watch it, a hands-on learner. I'm a hands-on learner, and that kind of gamified learning really helps me memorize the different skills I'm learning and stuff like that. And they have all the different paths. So like, if you know you want to get into cybersecurity, but you don't know exactly what part of cybersecurity, you can kind of try it all out and see what you truly do like. So I want to get into this new segment I have. It's called Repeat After Me. I'm going to say a sentence and then you repeat the first part and then fill in the blank with whatever comes to mind. Alrighty?
Okay.
So first thing is, if I was starting from zero today and wanted to get into cybersecurity, I would...
Okay, so if I was starting from zero today and I wanted to get into cybersecurity, I would focus on being specific where I wanted to go. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, but like being directed will help you know what you need, what you don't know, and what you do need to know. It'll help you kind of narrow down what job roles or positions you should even apply for. It'll help you know what to learn without having to just go to 4 different cert topics or 4 different concepts or just anything. Really being focused and kind of directed is how you get where you need to go. My pastor, he's a good analogy, but he said, like, if you want to go to a lake, you can type in the lake in GPS, but you don't know where it's going to take you. Like it could take you to the other side of the lake. It could take you to the north end of the lake. But like if you put in the actual address where you want to go, it'll take you right there. Your GPS will. So that's kind of how you should direct your career focus. The more specific you are, the more likely you're going to get to where that is going to be. So that is hard when you don't even know what the options are. We don't know what you want to do. But definitely, research what's out there and then try to be direct and focused with where you want to go. And that'll be the quickest and most efficient way to get there.
Very, very true. The biggest mistake I see people trying to get into cybersecurity is...
So the biggest mistake I see people trying to get into cybersecurity is thinking that they have to have it all before they can get the job. You kind of mentioned it earlier, but like thinking they have to have a degree, they have to have a cert, they have to have whatever before they get the job. There are some jobs, like in the government or other places, where you do need to have a certain certification. That is true. But for the most part, and depending your age and other stuff, like you can get a job while doing a degree, and then you'll be able to take the book knowledge, the hands-on knowledge, kind of combine them at once. And that'll help you a lot more than just going straight theory for one time and then trying to get a job. The reason that you don't need one or the other, like a cert or a degree or something for a job, is because there's really no good way to validate that you actually know what you're talking about from an employer perspective. So like if I was,
right,
I guess like you're still rolling the dice. So even if I hired someone with a degree and a cert, they might even honestly know less than someone that doesn't have that stuff. So it's not like you really look at less as a prospect, because most people that do know the field and know what's going on understand that they kind of can mean nothing. It could be helpful, but you could also have not learned anything from your degree or your certification. HR might be different. So it depends, how you get your job, how that works and everything.
Yeah.
People that I would say like know what they're talking about, what they know what's going on, they understand that it's not the job or the degree or the cert that makes the employee.
Absolutely. If you don't know what you want to do in cybersecurity, I would recommend...
If you don't know what you're doing in cybersecurity, or what you want to do in cybersecurity, I would recommend reaching out to some people that maybe do different things. Maybe ask them, what's a day-to-day look like? What do you enjoy about your job? What do you not enjoy about your job? Again, like I said kind of previously, again, researching what's out there. And knowing also your life and what you want in a job. Things like being in a SOC are great for some people. For other people, it's swing shift. It's 12 hours, on, off, whatever, nights. And some people like that a lot. Some people don't like that. So like that's something to right off the bat factor in. If you're not willing to do, potentially be on call or potentially swing shift or things like that, then maybe that's not the route to go. if you enjoy pen testing or hacking, that's awesome. But it's important to know that that's usually a more of an advanced role, and it's not many places that you're going to get into that role right away. So kind of also knowing just the fields and what's out there. And I'll credit LinkedIn, I guess, but that's a great way to kind of understand the cyber environment, I guess. Like know what jobs are out there, know what it seems like is going on. Obviously, right now it seems like there's a kind of a lot of layoffs going on, not all in the cyber realm, a lot just kind of in engineering and stuff like that. But like that's important to know when you're looking for a job. Like if you were looking for a job in 2020, it looked different than if you're looking for a job in 2024. So there's just there really is just so much going into it. But definitely like that research and knowing what's going on, that's where the best place to start is, and trying to reach out to people, hear from them, because that's kind of a good way to get a feeler and to understand what it's actually like day to day.
Absolutely. I'd agree. Final one. Once you get your foot in the door into that first cybersecurity job, if you want to level up quickly, you should.
All right. So once you start your first job, you have a role now, and then you want to level up, whether it be title or a different position or something like that. It'll be easier than getting your first job, that's for sure. So it's after you have your first job, you can just be thankful that it's going to be so much easier to get a future job, most likely. Especially, a couple of years of experience, then you'll be pretty well set. Figure out, what you want to do next, or the best way to improve. I personally think, depending who you are, you might agree, you might disagree, but I think the best way is to really just provide a lot of value, even maybe above what your job role or what your job responsibility is. More than just, my job is to respond to alerts, and that's what I do. Okay, well, maybe you could optimize workflows. Maybe you could, improve some stuff, or you have an idea for how to save other people time and effort, things like that. That's really what sets you apart, because that's like using critical thinking. That's looking to actually, improve business processes or business, whatever, things like that. That's a great way, because it's easy to, just do your job, clock in, clock out. But usually you're then overlooked for promotions, or you're going to be overlooked for improvement or other things, because no one really knows you have that.
Right.
Second best way, just ask, let people know. I mean, depending on your company, it's all different, but like usually managers or whatever, they want to know, what are your goals? What are your ambitions? Do you care? Do you want to improve stuff? Like, do you want to stay here for 10 years? Do you want to switch something else? That helps them know, and ways to kind of keep you motivated, keep you kind of on a path towards progression, because ultimately everybody wants people to improve. Like, we don't really want anyone to be stagnant that much, especially in cyber.
I have a couple more questions I want to ask you, but really quick, if people want to connect with you and kind of find out more about you, where can they find you?
Best place, I'll suffice again, it would be LinkedIn, Micah Van Fossen. I think it'll be like Micah.v under LinkedIn. I think I'll have a M emoji, and you'll find me probably.
I'll make sure and drop a link.
Great. Yeah, we can do that. I do have a blog, which is more just like informational. So if they want to read some stuff, that's in my LinkedIn, like in the links or whatever, but it's called The Purple Van. So if, people are interested in stuff like that, I kind of just started it this past year. So it's like 5 articles or something, but
nice. That's
a way to kind of learn. But yeah, if you want to actually reach out to me, talk to me, LinkedIn's probably the best way. And then, we can always, if we need to email or do something else like that, we can do that. But I'm pretty active, so within a few days or something, I'll probably see something.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you coming on the show. As we start to land the plane here, what is, like, if you started all over again and knowing what you know now, is there anything you would do differently? And is there any advice you would give to someone who is like just starting out, not even working in tech at all, but they definitely know, like, they want to become a blue team? It's
a little harder for me to say what would I do differently too, because if I could choose, I would say COVID wouldn't exist. That would have been great for me. That would have helped a lot.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would.
I was applying, I think, for like 5 months for a job after I graduated. So those 5 months were not very fun. But originally I was thinking of going to grad school straight out of my bachelor's. I was going to go to Auburn University on they called, I think, like the Cyber Corps scholarship or something, but it's like a scholarship for service type deal where you would go to school, they'd give you a stipend, and then you'd spend 2 years at least in some sort of a government position type of thing. And that was a good opportunity. But because of COVID, things kind of fell down the line and it just didn't work out. Now I think that personally that's kind of a benefit, because I was now able to get a lot of experience within the 2 years I would have been at school. I already have a job, and then I was able to get my master's very cheap, very quick and stuff through my employer. So like looking back, I was like, it was actually a good move that I didn't try to do the bachelor or the master's first. A lot of people see, you have 2 degrees, but you'd have no work experience.
Yeah.
Now I'm in a way better position than I would have been if I had a master's, but just like 1 year, who knows where I'd be working, stuff like that. So that's, again, something I think for me worked out very well. Everyone's different, but that's something that I was glad it worked out the way it did. So I can kind of thank COVID for that one actually too.
Nice.
And then for anyone that has no experience at all and they're wanting to go blue team. So blue team, you're defending a network, system, stuff like that. So to start, you need to just have competent knowledge on how networks work, how systems work. I think the best way to get that is through kind of hands-on or maybe videos. I took a networking class in college. In undergrad, I learned nothing. I was so confused. I had no clue what networking was. I didn't know anything because it was all book in like a classroom. And I just honestly could not figure out what was going on. What was subnetting? I don't know. It was awful. I couldn't figure it out. So for me, that was not a good way to learn. Anything hands-on is fantastic. So you have a computer at home. Cool. Okay. You have Windows. Well, let's make a virtual machine. Let's put Linux on there. Let's see what that's all about. Stuff like that. If you are able to have 3 computers, well, you can set up a little mini network or something, things like that. That'll almost alone be enough for a lot of help desk positions, I would imagine. I mean, people that like, networking, operating systems, common problems, and you can Google other problems. Like that's what most people want. Like they want people to be able to, think critically, to be able to solve those problems. That's what you want out of someone. So that's alone a really good place to start, and just be able to tell people. It's not common that IT people enjoy talking, but like you be able to explain your knowledge is very important as well.
We could talk for another hour about that. Recently, we're currently hiring at my company, and one thing that I think people don't realize enough is like being able to explain yourself and make good documentation and stuff. That is not only going to help you out in your current job, but that's going to really help you out in the future. Especially if you're like, oh, hey, I ran into that. How did I do that? If you take good notes and stuff, that will really help you out in the long run.
Yeah, that's kind of why I started writing too. Is I think there's a big lack in using words to share knowledge in cybersecurity. I think it's not just. I mean, it's a time thing. People are busy. People don't have time for that. But like, the ability to do that is just something that I think is so helpful. Like you read someone's blog and you can just immediately be like, oh, they're smart. Like, they know what they're talking about. Like they understand this stuff. Or, you need a walkthrough. I don't know how to install whatever. You see someone's blog and they give you step by step. You're like, this is the best thing ever. This is so awesome. So just stuff like that is a great way to, share knowledge and help both yourself and, like you said, people will see that, oh, I remember this guy solved this problem, or, help other people, things like that.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the channel and share so much great insight and advice on the cybersecurity field in whole. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and until next time, keep learning.